that that's our role.
Well, I guess I would just take objection to your language about put a hook in it or restrict it.
And I'll pull back. Yeah, I should not have said put the hook in it, but the need to touch the project, and I'm not trying to assess where you're coming from, but I do think that there is this emerging frame here in the discussion that somehow any of the things that we're doing are necessarily to benefit or push along or incentivize the project. There was one aspect of this that, Mr. Giudice graciously said, you know what, we don't need to do that. And that was, I think, definitely fits in the bucket of incentives and things that we're doing in the name of partnership. I mean, this is more an acknowledgement that a project is going forward. Therefore, we have a regulatory action in front of us to assist in that project moving forward. It's not necessarily a benefit that we're providing, putting on the table to make it go. I mean, it's just an acknowledgement that the property, the nature of the property ownership and where the property is going to be, how it's going to be used is changing, and we have to accommodate that.
And I would just, if I may, in response, I just would characterize it not in any of the ways that you did, but more as a partnership. And there may be future opportunities to work together to benefit the project or benefit our community at large. And if we never see it, I don't understand it, I don't know what it's about, I can't really help. And I don't know that our council can. So that's what it's really about. It's just getting an understanding of how our city is developing. And a whole block is a whole block. And it's meaningful. And I think it's terrific what they're doing. And I hope this goes forward. And if it wasn't, and if it was something else, I would want to see what that is and see if there's something else we can do. So it may not be a giving of money. It may just be a something else. So that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to respond.
Are you two good with each other now?
We're shaking hands.
All right, then. Right on. No, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Come on. Councilman Delgado.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to kind of bring things, I guess, back here really quick. Just wanted to, again, thank Mr. Giudice for the comments earlier and for the stepping up and taking pride in your current, the assemblage of the properties, but then at the same time, knowing that we want to make something happen, ignite that area. So thank you for that. And also thank you, Landmark, for considering and working with Reno, a national development company, come to Reno, again, be part of that college village atmosphere that we all want. So thank you for that as well. And again, thank you, Councilman Bobsey, for asking the question with respect to whether that was going to trigger something to the gentleman's question earlier with the labor group, whether that was going to be something, and seeing clearly that it's not, takes a lot of weight off of some of our shoulders, I believe, in terms of whether that was going to trigger prevailing wage or not and so forth. But again, also just clearly stating that this is different from a street. This is an alley. Mill Street was brought up a few different times, understanding, of course, connectivity and so forth, but this is an alley where I think this is quite different from a street. Knowing that and knowing what we want to do there, I'm looking forward for us to moving forward with staff's recommendation. And I know Councilwoman Jordan, this is in your ward, but kind of hopefully wrapping things up here.
Yeah, I will have Councilwoman Jordan make the motion. Just 1 second. Okay. All right. That being said, any more comments? Councilwoman Breakfast.
I just have one more question. I can see where my colleagues are going this. In terms of, at the end of the day, it's always about life safety. Number 6 on the old conditions said that, the city is going to want to keep these emergency service access easements unless you demolish all the buildings. And you're not putting that in today's conditions. And so, is there a scenario where the access can get abandoned, the alley could get abandoned, they could block it off, and our fire does not have access to that alley, which is going to be an important response route to these very old, dilapidated houses. That makes me uncomfortable that 6 is wiped off of this previous, because it seems very life safety oriented.
Yeah, we didn't receive any comments from fire at the time, and as I said, I found this today. I would be very comfortable if we wanted to tie this directly to the reversion, because the reversion will get reviewed by us, by fire, by planning, and if those buildings remain, all the easements that are required to service those for fire and for everybody else will be maintained through the reversion process as well.
Okay, so you want to see that then.
Wipe that out to a single parcel, and the easements necessary to serve what buildings remain would be in place.
Would you tie it to demolition too? Because, you could revert to acreage, but you really want, those buildings to be gone. so you don't extinguish that route for our fire to go through.
I think, like I said, if the buildings aren't all gone, then they're going to have to provide those easements on the reversion, on the reversion.
When the reversion comes
those
through
necessary
the
maps.
for fire review. I got you. So
Yeah,
that's
for fire review. And I would be comfortable adding
Okay.
that condition,
Okay.
basically, that the order of abandonment
Okay.
should be
Okay.
recorded concurrently with the reversion to acreage map,
Okay.
merging all parcels.
okay.
All right, thank you. There's something that I do want to point out because it's really been interesting sitting here now because I want to remind this council, certainly Councilman Delgado, Councilwoman Breckus, Councilwoman Jardin, that 3 years ago when we all took office, Reno's future was very, very bleak, incredibly bleak. I'll never forget it. And it really wasn't a good time to be sitting in any of these seats. And it was a really difficult time. And today, that has changed dramatically, or we're going into that movement where it could change dramatically. And I think we have a huge opportunity here to revitalize downtown with this type of project moving forward. I think the other thing is that we've all said that we want to be a university town. And so obviously we know that this kind of project will really spur that sort of growth. But I also think we have to keep our priorities in line, and those priorities have been housing. And certainly affordable housing, student housing, those are the things that will really make an impact in our community, and I think springboard the revitalization of downtown. So, so I just asked that council to remember that moving forward. Certainly, these next couple of years, I think that we're going to be looking at different projects, and I think it is an exciting time. I'd like to thank Landmark for sure. I'd like to thank Mr. Judici for being so incredibly gracious for what you did for this community today. So greatly appreciated. So I'm happy to support this. So Councilwoman Jardin, with your direction, I would like you to make the motion since it is your district, or your ward, excuse me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think something that no one has commented on today is while we are looking towards connectivity with the university and the Gateway Project to improve the first image that people have when they're bringing their students or coming to visit our town, this block is the last image they get, largely when they're hitting I-80 going east or west. And I think this is tremendous. And I do actually think a large footprint block improvement is exactly what this area needs. And so I too thank Mr. Judici for his generous contributions today, for Landmark for having an interest in our community. And again, the student housing will help to, with a small degree, I know we've got a lot more to do, a little bit of a relief valve from the students that are taking up other housing. So there's an opportunity to have some positive impacts on things other than just student housing. So thank you again for everything and everybody involved in this. This is pretty darn exciting. So I would make a motion to uphold staff recommendations.
All right, thank you. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
For discussion,
Councilwoman
would
Breckus.
the motion maker include that tie to reversion of acreage like Mr. Gal is recommending so that we do keep those easements in case those buildings don't come down, we can get fire back through there?
My only hesitation in including that in the motion and is the same hesitation I had with the last one is the ability for someone to obtain financing for, for these projects and putting that kind of provision on there. So I'm still hesitant with adding that modification.
All right.
As the seconder, could we just have you explain that? I mean, it didn't sound like the first two things we talked about earlier today. It sounded like more of a standard condition that was
yeah.
in the previous.
This actually is fairly straightforward. Like I said, they've requested the reversion to acreage, and their reversion includes the abandonment in it. So they're in the process of combining these all into one parcel right now. So we just kind of wanted to ensure that all the easements for the parcels that are, the development that's in place there, all those are left on the reversionary map. So everything is there. They will still file those concurrently. They will file the abandonment and then file the reversion at the same time because the abandonment number is going to be on the reversionary map. It's something they'll probably end up doing regardless of whether the condition is there or not. I spoke to the surveyor here just in between, and he's comfortable with the condition as it's written, as we proposed it, and they intend to do it that way. So.
Okay, well, I will trust that you have clarified the difference between the two, and if everybody involved is okay with it, then I'm okay with making that modification to my motion.
Seconder is too.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Actually, at this time, and then we'll come back.
Doing a good job.